Regionals start this weekend, and this is where teams get to prove who they are and try to claim a bid to nationals. The bids per region were determined based off of regular season performance from the teams in the region. Just because you claimed a bid for your region does not mean you get an automatic pass to nationals. You still need to perform well enough at regionals to make it to the big dance. Today, I will go through all of the regions and the teams to look out for on who can potentially make a run to nationals, as well as my predictions on who will go to nationals and play in the game to go. The Atlantic Coast has one bid to nationals, and UNC Darkside is coming in as a heavy favorite to claim that bid. A combination of being one of the best teams in the nation and no other major threats make them a safe pick to make nationals. This region has a plethora of mid-level teams, which makes the other team to play in the game to go up in the air. South Carolina lost to UNC in their conference final. Georgetown beat Maryland 13-8 in the Colonial Conference final, and Virginia beat Virginia Tech 14-10 in the Virginia Conference final. All of these teams mentioned, along with UNC Wilmington, NC State, William & Mary, and JMU, can make a push towards that game to go. UNC Wilmington will be the team to make it to the game to go, only to lose to Darkside. The Great Lakes is another region with one bid, but this bid is up for grabs. Chicago claimed the auto bid, but they're only ranked as the 33rd team in the nation. It is still unsure if Grant Harris is healthy, but even without him, Chicago's been performing well. Right behind them in the rankings is Michigan, who went to nationals last year and nearly upset the champion Brown in pre-quarters during their run. A team with Aaron Bartlett and Philip Isev will put a great competition to Chicago. These are the two teams that are likely to make it to the game to go, but teams like Indiana, who won their conference, and Illinois, who lost to Chicago at their conference final, can both make noise and pose a threat to Chicago and Michigan at regionals. Even though there are still some threats, I believe Chicago and Michigan will be in the game to go, with Chicago claiming the bid to nationals. The Metro East is entering regionals with one bid yet again. Being touted as the worst region, there's a lot of parity that will go into regionals this year. Last year, the 2 seed, Connecticut, lost in pre-quarters, while the 11 seed, Columbia, made it to the semifinals. This year, I expect a lot of craziness, but it seems there are 2 top teams in the region, being Cornell and Ottawa. These teams were in the game to go last year, where Ottawa won 15-7. In the Western New York Conference, Cornell won 13-8 against Ottawa in the championship. A team like Rutgers or Columbia can also make some noise. Rutgers beat Columbia 13-12 in the Metro New York Conference final. Despite that, I will still take Cornell and Ottawa to be in the game to go, with Cornell going to nationals. The North Central is another region that feels locked up already. Carleton Cut has been one of the top teams this year, and there seems to be no signs of slowing down. Their 2 biggest competitors are Minnesota and Wisconsin. Wisconsin won their conference with ease, whereas Minnesota lost to Carleton 15-5 in their conference game. Carleton has as easy of a path to nationals as UNC does in the Atlantic Coast, but missing nationals with a great team is nothing new for Cut. Carleton wins the region, beating Wisconsin in the game to go. Entering conferences, the Ohio Valley region seemed to be locked up as Pitt versus Penn State in the game to go, with them only having one bid. Carnegie Mellon beat Penn State 15-13 in pool play in the West Penn Conference. Despite that, Penn State still won the conference, beating Pitt and Carnegie Mellon comfortably on the way. This is another region with plenty of parity, and it's already showing. Few teams to look out for who can make a run are Case Western Reserve, Ohio State, and most prominently, Cincinnati. Cincinnati won their conference with ease, with the exception of a 12-11 win against Ohio State in pool play. If any team would make a run outside of Pitt and Penn State, it would be Cincy. Despite that, I believe the final will be Penn State versus Pitt, with Pittsburgh coming out on top. The South Central is entering with 3 bids once again, and there's a fairly strong consensus that the 3 bids will go to Colorado, Texas, and Washington University, all 3 of which won their conference with ease. The biggest threats to any team would be Colorado State and possibly Texas A&M, but a miracle would need to happen. One thing to note is that 7 seed out of 7 teams Tarleton State won the North Texas Conference. This is a school I've never heard of, and they only have 12 players on their roster. I don't think they're anything to worry about, but maybe they can make some noise and cause a little chaos. Nevertheless, Colorado will win the region, with Wash U and Texas coming in second and third in that order, all three of which will go to nationals again. Southeast Regionals should be a fun one this year, with only one bid up for grabs. Georgia and Georgia Tech have been the two top dogs in the region this year, but there are plenty of other teams who can give them a run for their money. Tulane won the Gulf Coast Conference easily, and Emory has put up a universe loss to Georgia Tech at the Southern Appalachian Conference. Emory had a great run at regionals last year, entering as the 11 seed and taking 4th place. Finally, Ave Maria is a D3 school, but they opted to go D1. They beat Florida 15-9 in the Florida Conference and are a big question mark entering regionals. They haven't lost a game this year, but also haven't played any stellar competition. It'll be interesting to see how they do against any of the teams mentioned before. Despite all of the potential threats, I will have Georgia and Georgia Tech in the game to go, with Georgia Tech taking the win. In a game to go situation, there's a chance that both Adam and Sam Grossberg play every single point of the game, and if they do that, they should beat Georgia. The Southwest has 3 bids, and like the South Central, there seem to be a firm 3 teams who should take those bids. Those teams are Cal Poly SLO, UC Santa Cruz, and California. Santa Barbara, San Diego, and Stanford are all ranked in the top 40 according to USAU. Of those 3, UC Santa Barbara posed the biggest threat. They beat San Diego 52-11 in the SoCal Conference semifinal, and they lost 15-12 to Cal Poly SLO in the finals. Stanford lost big to both California and Santa Cruz in the NorCal Conference, but maybe there's a chance. I think this region goes to chalk, at least in the top 3, with Cal Poly, Santa Cruz, and California taking the 3 bids to national. The New England region is spicy this year, with 3 bids but 5 national caliber teams. UMass has been a tier above the other 4 contenders, and they will claim one of the bids. I see a pathway where they blow it and don't make nationals, but I don't think that happens this year. Now, we have 4 teams, Tufts, Northeastern, Brown, and Vermont, all looking for 2 bids. These teams are ranked 16, 17, 18, and 19th in the USAU rankings, which makes it completely up in the air. Each team has had strong wins and bad losses this year. This region will truly come down to who prepared best, who is feeling good on Saturday and Sunday. I'm going with Brown and Northeastern to make it. Brown feels like the safest pick, as they have played close in majority of their games and will compete well against this caliber of team. Northeastern, I have no say for. The region's wide open. I have to pick one of the 3 other teams. The Northwest is going to be messy, but in the best possible way. There are 5 bids up for grabs, but 9 teams who can claim one of those bids. Those teams include Oregon, Oregon State, Washington, UBC, Western Washington, Victoria, Utah, Utah State, and Utah Valley. If BYU was going to regionals, they would be on this list, but they are not going. Oh well. To me, it feels as if the first 4 teams, Oregon, Oregon State, Washington, and UBC, are the quote-unquote safe 4 teams, but the 5th is open. There's too much Utah talent in Frisbee for all 3 of those teams to miss nationals. I'm going with Utah Valley to claim that 5th spot, solely because one of their players commented on my videos earlier in the year. Nevertheless, this region is completely up for grabs. The only lock in my eyes is Oregon. Every other team can easily lose their way out of their bid. If you're only able to watch one regionals, this would be the one to watch. These are the 20 teams I believe will go to nationals. How many of these will be right? I have no idea. Regionals will be exciting this year, especially in the Southwest, Northwest, and New England regions. Let me know where I'm right and where I'm wrong. Let me know who you think is going to nationals. If you're playing in the postseason, good luck. If not, go enjoy your weekend.